What's up, everyone? Welcome into a special edition of DodgerHeads. We've got some breaking news. I'm joined today by Daniel Starkin, and the news came out today that Mookie Betts and the Los Angeles Dodgers are nearing an extension. Daniel, before we even get into this, when you first saw the news and you saw it from a credible source, as we'll talk about, what was your reaction?
Speechless, honestly. It was kind of the first guy who reported it was from like WEEI radio in Boston, and I had no clue who he was. So I was like, all right, maybe this is possible. I'm not getting my hopes up. But then as soon as like Heyman, Passan, Rosenthal, all those guys start tweeting it out, it was impossible to contain my excitement. As you could see, we both have huge smiles on our faces right now.
Yeah. So just to recap, the morning, it was a pretty funny deal. So this guy named Lou Merloni, who nobody in Los Angeles has ever heard of, he's a radio host in Boston with about 90,000 followers, tweets out that the Dodgers are closing in. I see some folks saying, not really a credible source, so kind of temper expectations. Then Peter Gammons retweets him. But again, it's Peter Gammons. Is this the thing? And it's hilarious because we were joking beforehand. It was almost like the cascading effect of like the least credible to the most credible reporters in order, because then Heyman was next, and it's like, okay, I really want to believe Heyman, but is this the guy? And then the real hammer comes when our boy Jeff Passan tweets, star outfielder Mookie Betts and the Los Angeles Dodgers are deep into negotiations on a long-term contract. The language of the deal is not completed. Expectation is he will be signing a massive deal in the coming days. Of course, lots of hypotheticals there. Deep in talks, expected to sign. Mark Feinstein of MLB.com says at least 10 years, $350 million. Ken Rosenthal confirms it. Jorge Castillo of the Los Angeles Times confirms it. So it sure seems like we're headed down this road. And the only thing I can think of is we've been down this road before with Mookie Betts, right? Where things are not quite completed, but they're almost completed. Is there anything we have to worry about in your mind, Daniel?
I mean, until he signs that contract, until he puts pen to paper, there's always a little bit of worry, just also because we saw everything with the trade, how it got delayed. So I'm not 100% all in that it's happening until it actually happens, but I'd say we're at 90-95% that as far as all the reports that come out, it's fair to assume that this is going to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, part of this is the reason we're so excited is because of Mookie Betts, the player. I mean, this is a guy that people are already talking about as a Hall of Famer in the future. And so for the Dodgers to have a guy like this in his prime is one thing, and for them to be able to lock him up, it's amazing. But I also think there's value in they've actually seen him in the clubhouse. They've seen him interact with the guys. Now, it's a small sample size. It's not a full season, but it feels like there's something to getting a guy in your building, getting him with your coaches, seeing how he jibes, seeing how everything sort of fits together. Does the personality fit? Is there any worry that maybe he was only successful in one particular situation? He's obviously crushing it in summer camp. And so it really does feel like the fact that they were able to get him in and then see him, like almost try him out for a little bit and then come up with a deal like this makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they're so willing to pay him all that money just shows how highly they think of him, because we've seen them pass on so many big free agents, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, Garrett Cole, Anthony Rendon. So the fact that this is the guy they're willing to break the bank for just shows how highly they think of him, and I couldn't agree more. Not only is he a great player on the field, a former MVP, five-tool player, can do it all, only 27 years old, entering the prime of his career, but he's also one of the best people off the field in baseball. He does so much for the community. He's such a good person. So I couldn't think of a better player to give this type of deal to, and I can't wait to see him in Dodger blue for the next decade.
Well, and it does feel like the timing makes a lot of sense, right? The season hasn't started yet, but he's probably starting to worry about. Mookie Betts was a guy that said, I want to get to free agency and I want to reset the market. I basically want to break the rules. I want to bust things open for the guys coming after me. Now, of course, with COVID and everything, what's expected to be a depressed free agent market has complicated things. The rumors were that the Red Sox had offered him 10 years, $300 million. He wanted something in the range of 10 years, $400 million. They couldn't come to an agreement. So the expectation was, even recently, he said, I'm not talking about that. I'm focused on the season. But it does feel like if the Dodgers could come up with a number that's somewhere in between 300 and 400, again, the rumor is somewhere in 10, 350. I've seen upwards of 12 years, so we'll see what it actually looks like. But it does feel like this could be a win-win for everybody. The Dodgers don't have to worry about what if losing him at the end of the season, and Mookie Betts doesn't have to worry about a depressed free agency market hurting his value. And so it feels like something in the 10 for 350 or even 12 for 400. I mean, that feels like a reasonable number, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought, he had every right in the world to say he wants to test free agency. Players may only get to do that once or twice in their career, being able to hit the open market. So I thought it made a ton of sense for him to say that. But then, the pandemic hit and all the financials, who knows what it's going to be going forward. And if he could get 10-350 from the Dodgers and he enjoys LA, loves his teammates, loves the organization, then I don't think he's going to be able to do better than that. The 35 million AAV, that puts him right in line with Mike Trout and Garrett Cole as the highest in baseball. So that's generational type of money right there, and I don't think that's an offer he could pass up.
Yeah.
Given the uncertainty moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously there's tons more we could talk about this, but we're going to cut this one short. I will say we've got a big season preview we're recording tonight, Daniel, myself, and Matt Moreno as well, and so we'll have plenty more on Mookie Betts, season preview, Dodgers, expectations, all that kind of thing. So check that out on our YouTube channel tonight, tomorrow. Obviously, check out DodgerBlue.com. We'll have all the latest when the Mookie Betts signing hopefully becomes official. And with that, that's all we've got. We'll see you next time.